Bum 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 boom boom bum 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 bum. That's like a food critic, I
Ew.
guess. I could be a food critic.
Maybe. Maybe you could.
That's too much.
Forget that accounting degree. I'm just gonna eat food.
It was something I was gonna do anyway, right? That's too expensive though. It's too expensive to be a food critic. Right?
I think you have to be a journalist first, and then you
No.
can be like, pay me to eat food.
I don't think you have to. I think you can just be some guy who likes food and is able to tell people why he likes food, right? That's all you need.
Yeah. Why
I
do you
don't.
like food, Justin?
I'll tell you why. It's because I don't like being hungry. That's why I like food.
Hey, you guys, it's me again. I'm gonna unwrap this Whopper with cheese. Mmm, real good.
It's not bad.
Okay, bye.
It's delicious. I'd watch that. That's like 58 million views.
That sounds like a mukbang. Do you know what a mukbang is?
I don't want to know. I don't want to know what. I don't know what that is.
It's like a Korean thing where
Gross.
they have this.
Gross. Stop. Stop it. It's
They have this
gross.
giant feast, and they just
Gross.
eat it in front of the. They eat it in front of the camera,
Yeah.
and people watch it for like unsexual reasons.
You don't know that. You don't know what people's reasons are for doing anything. Welcome back to Phantom Racers. I'm joined today again by the very lovely Manda. We're going to talk about the Mandalorian season 2 on this Christmas episode of Phantom Racers. I didn't even bring a Christmas hat. I thought about it.
I brought a Christmas lightsaber.
Oh my god. I brought a Christmas box cutter because it's red.
Oh,
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
I think you're gonna win the fight.
So let's talk about the Mandalorian. It's a gift on its own here in this Christmas episode. So was it good? Was it bad? What worked? What didn't? Let's dive into season 2. Amanda, what were your thoughts on the Mandalorian from first episode to last episode?
Okay, well, yeah, it was not exactly what I expected, but it still hit home, and it's a good show still. It I think it dipped a little in the first few episodes. It felt like it was just going from place to place, and it had a little bit of what I call like the Wolverine effect, which if you haven't seen it, the Wolverine, the original Wolverine movie that they made, it was pretty much Wolverine asking somebody a question, then going to the next person, asking them a question, then going to the next person and asking them a question until he reaches his final goal. So that's what happened in this first few 3 episodes. And it was a little, it drug a little, but then when you get closer to the end, really pays off. It's really sad, and it's a little controversial. So we can talk about that. What did you think?
I agree with you. There's definitely a sense of in the first I would say probably like 4 episodes, 5 episodes. It feels like a video game because you start off with your quest, right? He even says it. I'm quested to do this thing, and then the first episode it kind of felt like a filler episode because nothing, at least at the time, seemed like very important that happened. Like, yeah, by the way, there's spoilers all over the place in this thing. Um, but at the end of the first episode, you see Boba Fett, and you're like, ah, it's Boba Fett. But I really just thought they're gonna bring him in at just at that one point, and then you're never gonna see him again. Otherwise, nothing else really like that important happened in that episode. You don't find out until I guess later in the season that it actually kind of was important. Um, the Mandalorian finds Boba Fett's armor on some guy. He has to help that guy complete a side quest. Then he gets that armor as a reward, um, which comes back in like episode 5 or 6 or something like that. I think it's 5. Um, Boba Fett tracks the Mandalorian down, and then he gets his armor back, and now he's got a new assistant NPC player on his side quest. Um, and then episode 2, also another side quest. Like I've got to I've got to deliver this person to this planet. At the end of the episode, he gets to that other planet, and then he trusts pirates way too easy. I think in that episode, I don't know why he did that. He's the Mandalorian. Um, but yeah, they pull a major look on something, and then they push him into like this monster um, swimming pool, and then they try to kill him or whatever. He gets rescued by other Mandalorians. They tell him, "Hey, help us complete this side quest." Okay, so he goes, he completes that side quest, and then they're like, "Oh, you need help with your quest? Head over to this place and talk to Ahsoka." Okay, we go over to Ahsoka, which was a really cool episode. I gotta say, I really did like
Right?
that episode. Um, so and then yeah, and then Ahsoka's like, "Hey, you need to take him somewhere else," and that's another side quest that you have to do. I'm like, okay, so he finally goes and he takes Grogu. We learned the baby's name is Grogu. Um, I'm not a huge fan of that particular name, but it'll grow on me, I'm sure. The kid's all right.
Like
So
goo.
like goo, like Grogu. So takes him to the Seeing Stone. I think for Jedi, for some reason it's on this planet. Um, he gets there. Boba Fett shows up, and then Dark Troopers show up. They steal the child. Boba Fett, reclaims his armor and helps the Mandalorian try to get back the child. For some reason, they have to go get Bill Burr because they need they need a comedian on the next episode. Anyway, all of it culminates into like 5 or 6 people helping the Mandalorian track down Grogu on this ship with Moff Gideon, where Moff Gideon is waiting, and they're there, and they eventually are able to get the baby back, Grogu back, uh, only for what are they called, Dark Troopers, to start like kicking in the door. They're like this close to breaking through the door and killing everyone inside. Dark Troopers are extremely hard to kill. They're made out of adamantium or something. I don't know what it is, but they're really hard to kill.
It's the Beskar.
It's Beskar. They're made out of adamantium, the Star Wars adamantium. And then an X-wing shows up at the like the last 5 minutes of the episode. X-wing shows up. Some dude with a cloak and a lightsaber shows up. And he starts just cutting through all of these
Hold on.
bad guys.
Reenactment.
But the lightsaber's green. And here's the thing. This happens.
You don't know, you're colorblind.
I was told it was green while we were watching it. And this happened at least twice in this series, where like in episode 6, I think whenever Boba Fett shows up to reclaim his armor, you see Slave One flying in out of the sky, and I'm like, sweet, that's Boba Fett's ship. I wonder who has it, because I know it's not going to be Boba Fett. that's too much of a cool thing to happen. They're not gonna do that. And then Boba Fett shows up. He doesn't have his armor. He's a little pudgy and he's old, but like it's fine. It's okay. He's still kind of Boba Fett. When I see the X-wing show up, I'm like, maybe. And then I see somebody in a dark cloak with get out, and I'm like, maybe. And then I see the green lightsaber turn on. I'm like,
yeah,
hold on,
yeah.
wait.
And then you see the gloveless hand and the gloved hand.
And then you see the Michael Jackson look, and he's like crushing things and using the Force. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Are you joking around with me right now? You gonna do this thing right now? And at that point, I'm like, the only thing I could hope for more than what I know I'm getting, it's Sebastian Stan whenever he pulls off the cloak. He already knows what it's like to have a robotic hand, right? You would cast that guy as Luke Skywalker. I know it's Luke Skywalker underneath that hood. He already knows how to do that. So make him do it. No, it's not him. He gets to like the last dark trooper and he cuts him down. He opens up the doors, pulls off the hood. It's Luke Skywalker, and my heart's like, it's Luke Skywalker. He's so cool. And and it's a really good scene. It's really well done because the way that whole thing is shot, the way his whole intro is shot just until he gets to that door, it's wonderfully done because you know who it is. They play with your hope the whole thing because they're not going to make him take off the hood as soon as he gets there, even though realistically he probably would. He's going to keep it down because he wants to look cool. He's mysterious, and you're like, there's no way they're going to give me Luke Skywalker. There's no way. And then but you know it's him. And after so much episode 8 and 9 that we've been through, you can't blame me for being very skeptical about whether or not this is going to be Luke Skywalker. Like, am I going to get really what I want out of the series? Of course, Jon Favreau and Filoni, I think is his last name. They did a wonderful job plotting out this whole season. At least like the last half. They knew the last half of it was going to be super intense and like super fan servicey in the best way possible. They're giving you a good story with things that you know, things that you like.
See, exactly. Like, this was really good fan service. It still stayed on point with the plot, but you also did get those like, oh my gosh, it's okay, you're telling me it's this guy. It's got to be this guy. You're looking at it right here, and then right here, and then you gotta pull off the hood, and it's like, it's him.
It really felt like you're playing with the toys of Star Wars or something like that. Like, oh, and then the X-wing shows up, and it's Luke Skywalker, and he starts slicing down all the bad guys, and he saves the Mandalorian, and then Boba Fett's there, and Boba Fett's cool again, and he's doing stuff instead of just getting smacked around a little bit. And it was a really well done scene.
And even with Bo-Katan like being in the show too. So spoiler alert, I finished the Clone Wars.
Yay!
And I know everything now. I know everything about the Clone Wars. I just started Rebels, so we'll see what happens. So Bo-Katan being in that show, it could have been just like oh, there's Bo-Katan. Okay, bye, Bo-Katan. But they did a good job where incorporating her, because she in the storyline of Clone Wars is the sister of the Duchess that rules Mandalore, or did rule Mandalore. So having her come into the storyline and Gideon having the sword really does go with the whole plot of the story, and depending on what they're doing in season 3, she's probably going to play a even bigger role. She might even be evil. I don't know, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think everyone, I mean, Ahsoka's my favorite. She's probably the least like incorporated. She might come back later, but she was still in there.
Yeah.
And they played a really important storyline out with her, kind of saying like, even though the rebels have won, there's still places that are under oppression, not just by the Empire, but also like just factions, like how Jabba the Hutt was, and Darth Maul was. So I think it was a good incorporation of her storyline. Not necessary, but it was there.
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna hate saying this, but I'm pretty sure they made that Bill Burr episode just to prove me wrong. Like, that was a really good episode.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, the last video we did, I was saying, I hate it. Why is Bill Burr in there? It's just like a fan, like, oh, we had to put famous people in here, kind of thing. Well, they came back and they gave me a good storyline with Bill Burr in it.
Yeah.
And now I'm fine with it.
To my surprise, that was actually a very interesting episode. It didn't quite go the way I thought it would, and I was like, oh, that's cool. They gave Bill Burr like some character in there. He's not just like a wisecracking gunslinger or whatever he was supposed to be in the first one. Like, he's got some character development. That was kind of neat, and it's good. It's a good story and it's a good episode. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. What controversy was there around the end of the show that you were saying?
So we know that Baby Yoda, Grogu, he's going away with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
What happens to all of Luke Skywalker's little students? They get choppity chopped. So
that's what they get.
I think everyone is kind of like, you left us on the cliffhanger. This is not fair.
Yeah.
And I got angry at that at first.
Yeah.
I heard some people, they cried their eyes out and they loved it. What did you think?
So it never occurred to me that he was going to die in about 20 years whenever Ben is born. What's his name? Ben Skywalker or Ben Solo. Yeah. Whenever he's born, and then grows up to kill all those people. I just kind of assumed that kid, the baby Grogu, is going to learn what he's going to learn and then eventually just kind of leave or something. But I guess in episode 8, they say that there's no more Jedi at all. So it's also possible that Grogu just rejects the Force, because he's already rejecting it at that young age. He kind of is taking away his powers from himself, or he's rejecting the Force a little bit. So it's possible he grows up and he's just like, you know what, maybe I don't want to do this. And so he's not technically a Jedi, but he also doesn't die.
Yeah, that's what I kind of, and I'm just holding out for season 3 to see. I feel like what's gonna happen is there is either gonna be something deep down in Mando. Nobody ever says Din Djarin, do they? Mando.
No, Mando. Yeah.
Something deep down in Mando is gonna be like, I gotta get the kid back. Or the kid's gonna be so unruly, Luke's gonna be like, there he is. You keep him.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. So there's also the idea that Jon Favreau and Filoni are both going to rewrite or just completely subvert episode 8 and 9. possible. I don't know. I don't know how cool Disney would be with that. But like, if it makes them more money, I can't imagine that they would be that opposed to it. Um, if they and I'd be totally cool with it, because if you think about what they're doing with Disney Plus, they're making an entire new universe of Star Wars with like the 12 different shows they're adding of just like Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
uh Disney Plus originals. They're gonna make their whole universe anyway, so why wouldn't you just be like, yeah, maybe episode 9 and 8 or whatever, they happen in like an alternate timeline or something. This is the main Star Wars universe that you want to follow, where Luke Skywalker doesn't grow up to just like drink milk real weird and stare at people while he does it, and like people have meaning, and no one's like sad and decrepit and old, and your childhood actually gets some dignity as it grows up. um like maybe that's what they're planning on doing. I don't know, but based on how they're treating like Boba Fett, and they're bringing back Luke Skywalker, I'm wondering if like, well, maybe that is something they're going to plan on doing, is like making a Star Wars B, right? Or something like that. um what
I
do you think?
mean, I don't know if they should like explain it away like that. I think it's fair to say, hey, these episodes, we're just gonna bury them. Do the holiday Christmas special for Star Wars and
Mm-hmm.
like just take everything away. It never existed.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it would, if done right, maybe work. I don't want them to be like, oh yeah, that was all a play. Yeah, that was not real or anything like that.
Yeah.
It seems cheesy if you try to explain it. So then you're like, no, we just don't count that.
Yeah.
Redo it. Okay. I have to put out this too, since I did finish the Clone Wars. I think that if you watch the Clone Wars, it makes the prequels better. Like the prequels mean so much more
Mm-hmm.
when you watch the Clone Wars. I kind of want whoever did the Clone Wars
Mm-hmm.
to make or remake the prequels with those characters, with those voices,
Yeah.
because the guy that plays Anakin in the cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
you understand. You're like, of course that guy's gonna become Vader. So
All right.
it works.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that they did that. And I guess I think the guy you're talking about that's working with Jon Favreau is the same guy that either directed or wrote the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
which that's important that he's there too, because
Mm-hmm.
they're merging those two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not like a hardcore Star Wars fan, you're getting both sides of the story that you know and you don't know, and it's welding together pretty easily.
Yeah. It's a really good show, and I will admit that I was a little bit worried about it whenever like the first 3 episodes aired and nothing significant had really happened yet. And I'm like, you guys only get 8 episodes. You really want to waste this much time on stuff that's not really that important to the story? But again, it's another one of those stories where it's very simple. It's a very simple story to tell, and so long as you tell it well, no one's really going to care that much, because it's entertaining. It's like, well, yeah, it's kind of like point A to point B to point C. You're just kind of zigzagging back and forth until you get to the end, where you fight your main boss at the end of this video game. But so long as I'm like entertained by all the stuff along the way, as long as we're having fun along the way, I don't care. And that's kind of the way season 1 was. It's a very simple concept of like the premise of the show is just a bounty hunter trying to protect this kid from everyone who's trying to kill this kid or kidnap this kid. And we're just having fun along the way, and that's really all there is to the show. But you're like, oh my god, there's stormtroopers and there's like laser guns and there's a shootout, and it still leans very heavily into like the Western theme on this season. Season one was super westerny. This one is still westerny in some themes, maybe not like the visual themes so much as like the first season was. The first season you like literally had like a shootout in a ghost town, like at the first I think it was like first episode and then the last episode. And this one you still get like shootouts and stuff like that, but they're all kind of more happening in space and stuff. But it's a really good show. I really enjoyed it. What do you think? What do you think the Boba Fett show is going to be like?
So we kind of got a sneak peek at the end of the episode about Boba Fett, where he goes and he kills the gross guy that was Jabba the Hutt's like side
turd sack. Yeah,
I don't know, accountant. I don't know what he did before.
Was he a translator? I thought that's what he was.
Was it? Okay.
I thought that's what he was, but I don't know. He's super gross to look at. He's all lumpy and he's got something as stuffed inside that long head tail. I don't know what it is. Ew, he's gross. He's dang gross.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
so Boba kills him.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah, and he sits on the throne. So I don't know. Does he plan to become like the new Jabba?
That's what I'm thinking. If I had to guess, if the Mandalorian is going to lean into like the Western theme of it, then Boba Fett is probably going to lean into this sort of like gangster, sort of like I don't know, not Sopranos, but like it's probably going to lean more into like the territories of like Star Wars and stuff like that. And he's probably going to take over like Jabba's old like Dominion and stuff like that. And he's probably going to be like fighting different tribes.
I didn't think about that, but that's a really interesting storyline. Like because the seedy underground has always been a part of Star Wars and like that. So it could play out like a mafia kind of show. That'd be really interesting. I like that idea.
Like a sci-fi mobster, and that's cool. Like that's what Jabba was. We never really got to see a whole lot of that in the movies. It was always kind of hinted at. So yeah, I think that would be really cool to see that with who's his sidekick? What's her name? Farron or something like that?
Oh, I didn't catch it. I thought for some reason I thought it was Sabine, but maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't remember her name, but Ming-Na Wen. Yeah.
Oh, that was the assassin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that seems like a really interesting idea. If that's what it's going to be, if that's what they're going to lean into, I have no reason to think that it's going to be any worse than that, because if it's still Jon Favreau and what is it, like Dave Filoni or David Filoni?
I think so.
Something like that. If it's those guys producing it at least, or like they have like some kind of input on that show, I'm sure it's going to turn out just fine. The Ahsoka show, also, I'm sure that's going to be a really interesting watch. That seems more like a samurai kind of a show, maybe. Like she's like a Ronin or something. I don't know. She's got that whole motif going.
I mean, I haven't finished Rebels, so I don't know exactly what they've done with her in that timeline. But as far as I understand, like she's not Jedi, and she's most likely just going around kind of being like she's part of the rebels, but she's not really she's a lone wolf,
kind of like Robin Hood
aspect, I think, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I still need to see. I'm really interested, especially since they have Boba Fett and the actor that played him. I wonder if they could go back and do some clones, like old clones. I mean, they say most of the clones are gone, but like any escaped clones from back in the day or something, like just do an old guy. It could be him.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of Star Wars, especially under the supervision of those two guys. I think it could really be something to look forward to.
There is a little concern I have because I don't know if this happens with you, but Star Wars burnout. I get it sometimes where I've watched too much Star Wars
Mhm.
and I can't do it anymore and I have to give it a few years sometimes. So
I think that's true of everything. I get burned out like on other shows. Um, like I would get burned out on Game of Thrones, even though it was only like 8 weeks out of like 2 years or something. I would be like, yeah, I'm kind of ready for this show to end. Like I'm kind of tired of trying to keep track of a bunch of names that are just random syllables slapped together. Um,
I would say that I never got that, but at the end, I was
yeah,
like, come on.
hurry up. Um, yeah, and I guess with Star Wars, I guess I could get that, but if I think if they vary the type of show it is, kind of like in Marvel, where you get different
Yeah.
genres of movies that all happen in the same universe. If you get different genres of Star Wars stories, I think you can probably stay in that universe a little bit longer because there's variety. And I think the
Yeah.
problem with other shows that you get fatigued with is going to be the monotony of it's kind of the same thing happening over and over again. And ideally that's kind of what we're avoiding with so many different shows in the Star Wars universe.
I just think it's really difficult because Star Wars already has like a feel to it. And
Yeah,
I think if you get too far away from that feel, then it's not Star Wars.
yeah.
Because that's where I'm watching this Rebels show and I'm like, it doesn't feel like Star Wars.
Hmm.
It feels like somebody's using copyrighted names. But
It's like fan
it's
fiction.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's real close to it. And I'm kind of like, I have to just keep an open mind until it gets to the end because I hear there's some important things that happen in there, like
yeah.
Ahsoka and Anakin
Hmm.
meet up again.
Hey,
So
good for them.
yeah, it's not a good reunion, I hear. But
Uh-huh.
um yeah, so I don't know. Right now I'm thinking like when you get too off of the track,
Hmm.
it's really difficult to make it Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which I could say the same thing about Solo, like the movie.
Hmm.
Did it not feel like a Star Wars movie to you?
Large portions of it did not. Almost anything with Woody Harrelson didn't really feel like a Star Wars movie, but I still enjoyed the Woody Harrelson aspects of it because he's fun to watch. He's all right.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just something was missing in that whole movie, and I can't pinpoint it.
Hmm.
The only thing I liked about it was the Paul Bettany evil guy. Like he was a good evil guy. He
He
was
was
a
all right.
Star
Yeah.
Wars evil guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
everything else felt off.
Yeah. I mean, that whole movie is like the whole concept of that movie is really tricky to play with. I don't know why they did it. Like I understand why you would do a Rogue One. You don't necessarily need Rogue One, but I understand why you do it. You do it to kind of explain away a plot hole of like, why is it that this massive starship has like one weakness that's not that's not terribly impossible to trigger, and then you just kill the whole thing. You explain it in Rogue One, and it's actually intentional because the engineer, wanted there to be a weak point because he was forced to build this thing, against his will. Okay, we don't have that reason for Solo. Um, I heard this like one critique of it is like if you understand that Han Solo at one point in his life has been a decent person and like made a selfless choice once, that takes away so much from the first time you see him in A New Hope. Because
Yeah,
when you see him in A New Hope, he's just like a scoundrel. He's a selfish guy. But if you already know that he can do that when you watch A New Hope, you're like, well, it's not that big of a surprise that he would come back. If you don't know that about him, it means so much more whenever he does come back at the end of A New Hope. He chooses someone other than himself for the first time in his life, you think.
The only way that it would have been a good thing is if at the end he was hardened, like he became like I don't want to do this stuff kind of person. But it isn't, because it's a Hollywood movie. But yeah, you're right. Like, it just takes away from it's who shot first all over again.
Yeah, and
but this time it's a full-length movie.
Yeah, it is, and it does that without, it doesn't justify its own existence, and that's kind of disappointing for me. Like I said, I'm not really sure why they did it. If they were already, because you're already working uphill, working without Harrison Ford, like a young Harrison Ford, because no one's going to be a young Harrison Ford. And any attempt to like try to recapture like who he was when he was younger is going to fall flat probably. I don't know the name of the guy that they got for him, but he didn't really work out that well. He was fine as like an actor, just he's not Harrison Ford. He's not Solo. So I don't know. I don't know why we got that movie. And I
don't think anyone asked for it either. It's kind of like the whole Princess Bride, like, let's make a remake. No, don't.
Why? Yeah. Yeah. Why would you do that? Yeah.
Everyone was asking for Obi-Wan, and they were like, let's do Han Solo. So I'm glad they're finally listening to us. I think somebody got fired enough times to be like, okay, I got this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, subverting fans' expectations is fine up until a point, and then you're just being malicious about it. Yeah.
You mean like episode 9? All of episode 9?
And most of episode 8, yeah.
Let's put a Power Ranger in there. Why? She doesn't do anything, but let's have one.
Pretty
pretty cool.
But yeah, I guess we'll end it there. We stopped talking about the Mandalorian like 20 minutes ago. So,
sorry, Star Wars has so much to it.
It's pretty good. Everyone already knows that I love Rogue One. I am indifferent towards Solo.
We could talk about Rogue One. I mean, the characters don't matter because they all die at the end.
But that's why they do matter. Because they all die.
I don't remember their names.
All right. You had Felicity Jones, right? She was the main character. Alan Tudyk as the robot.
Robot.
Yeah. You had the rest. Those guys were cool. I liked the rest. The rest was really cool. Talk about that next time. Anyway.
I'm having people whisper in my ear Jen Erso.
Jen Erso.
And cats meowing in my head.
Yeah. Jen Erso and cats meow. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Fandom Racers. I think we're doing Harry Potter next week. So, bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
They're not Leia.
Yeah, Leia and Luke. They're like 0 years apart.
20 seconds apart.
20 seconds apart.
Well, people are pooping on Padme and Anakin for being 5 years apart.
It's just real weird to see it when they're young. That's all. When he's like 8 and she is like clearly 16 or something.
He's supposed to be 9 in the movies.
9. It's supposed to be 9.
And he looks like a fool.
14. But even at that, they only get together when he's 19 and she's like 24.
What are you doing?
Fixing your little thing.
And it's gross.
No. Do you
Yes.
support Leia and Han?
Do I support Leia and Han? Not
Mhm.
really.
Yes. Okay. Then that's
I-
fine. As long as
I
you're
don't
not,
support
like,
anyone's love.
Oh,
That's fine.
Mine's fine. I like our relationship, but that's it.
okay.
She freaking felt it in the force.
She heard it. She heard the shoot. I tried to put mine away.
Oh crap, the high ground.
You're gonna.
It's over,
You
man.
underestimate my power.
Do not flip.
I will
Do not do a
stab
flip.
you with my. Haha, because I got the old ones that will kill children. It wasn't Youngling Killer 3000. You had Obi-Wan sword. Yes, yes. That's what I bought.
This is the best lightsaber battle. This is what needed to be at the end of episode 9. God dang it. Why wasn't this at the end of episode 9?
Ow!
And somebody raises a hand. That's what needed to happen.
I'm glad you got that all recorded.
It was pretty good. Dang.
What? Hold it like Ahsoka. The other way around. Yeah, like the. Yeah, she does that. Yeah, that's how she fights. Like a stupid person.
Cuts off her own legs continuously.
I didn't hit the TV. I promise. I didn't hit the TV.
Mm-hmm.
He has it recorded.
Yeah.
You lost your arm. You lost your arm.
The rules do not apply.
No, not win this battle, no before.
Sit down.
Am I gonna be able to be a Jedi Master?
No, sit down.
I'm gonna go kill some kids.
Padawans, right? What are you gonna do about it?
I don't know. They're always no.
Oh god.